Hey everybody, it's Randall again. Just want to thank everybody for tuning into the video. We're gonna get the subject going here tonight. We're gonna talk about Scorpions, the band Scorpions. A lot of you know their hits that they had back in the '80s and '70s, like "Big City Nights," "Still Loving You," "In Your Park," "The Zoo," "Rock You Like a Hurricane." One of their biggest hits was a song called Wind of Change. It was about the Berlin Wall coming down. They recorded multiple versions. There was the version you heard on the radio, and they actually had as a B side of the 45 one in Russian. Amazing. You should check it out. It's one of their later CDs. It's called Face the Heat. Came out in '93. And they have a song on here, which was a single off the album called Under the Same Sun. Now, the song basically essentially preaches universal brotherhood. We all live under the same sun, okay? Borders don't matter. Where you are geographically in the world doesn't matter. We all rise and go to sleep under the same sun. And, it's really, really intelligent lyrics when you think about it, because it's true. Doesn't matter where we are, we all rise and go to sleep under the same sun. Now, I mentioned this. Oh, and by the way, these guys, they're still on tour. And they're going on 55 years or 54 years of making music, which is quite impressive. I mention this band and I mention that song for a particular reason. Because despite all of the ways that Trump is trying to distract you, we still have the border crisis. We still have immigrants who came here seeking asylum and they're in cages. There was one I read about this week who said that he hadn't bathed in 26 days because Border Patrol wasn't letting him. Now, I understand people out there don't want to consider these concentration camps because they are living in denial. The fact is, these are concentration camps. You don't have to have gas houses. You don't have to have people being showered and put to death for these things to be considered concentration camps. And never thought that after the mistake we made in the 40s with the internment camps of the Japanese Americans that we would ever make this mistake again. And now we're doing it with people who are coming here legally to seek asylum. People that are here, they claim asylum, they're doing it legally. And it boggles my mind that I have had interactions with people on social media this week. One guy had devout Christian right in his Twitter bio. Then I pointed out to him, you can't subscribe to your faith and be okay with these camps. They just don't jive together. And his response was, man's law trumps all. Pardon the pun. I'm like, wow. That stopped me in my tracks for a second. Yeah, it did. Stopped me in my tracks because you got a guy sitting there claiming to be a Christian, yet he feels that man's law trumps God's law in the Bible. And I began to think even more about this and reflecting. So I take a break and I'm floating on social media. And I saw something come up for Don't Be a Sucker, which was an anti-fascism movie made by the government back in 42 or 43, which was a few years after Charlie Chaplin came out with the legendary movie The Great Dictator. And Chaplin said he would never have parodied Hitler had he known the atrocities that were being committed in Germany. And Chaplin's speech at the end of that movie is one of the greatest in cinematic history, where he talks about how technology can lead to all men's happiness, how he dreamt of a world where we didn't have borders. And I kind of think that'd be a great world to live in, where we didn't define things by imaginary lines drawn in the sand. And that's really all they are. They only physically exist on a piece of paper. And I wonder to myself, because I don't have kids of my own, but I've got nieces and nephews and great nieces and great nephews, and I'm thinking to myself, when they grow up and they ask me how we can sit by and let people be put in camps where they didn't have access to dental care, health care, food, showers, where we treated them worse than we do prisoners of war. See, that's a question that our generations, I've asked our elders when it came to the internment camps of the Japanese. And now we're going to face that question. How could we sit back and allow human beings to be put in cages, no food, no water, no nothing, simply because they had the audacity to cross an imaginary line? You see, history is best viewed through the prism of the generation that was young enough to watch the atrocities. See, we're going to have a hell of a lot to answer for 10, 20 years down the line when our children come old enough to ask questions. What are we going to tell them? That because of an imaginary line, we threw people in cages, treated them terribly? We're going to have a lot to answer for. We're going to have a lot to answer for. And there's going to be no right answer because what we're doing isn't right. What we are doing is we are mistreating human beings. We've become Germany in the 30s. We've brought back the concentration and internment camps. Only we market them under different words. Doesn't change what they are. Definitely doesn't change that we've got a lot to answer for. Like the Scorpion said, we all live under the same sun, so why can't we be as one? That's it for this video. I'll see you next time.